Oh, Terry, you're so excited. You're ready to start again. I'm obviously referring to the magic music that we were just playing. Can't play it on YouTube, though, because apparently we'll get all sorts of trouble. We can't have that. Hey, it is time for your little genius zone. Your name is?
Terri Messenger.
Yes, and again, I'll always pull the same gag. Not going to shoot the messenger because I don't like the message sometimes. Actually, I generally like the message. I don't think you've brought me any great grief yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
Oh,
I'm sure.
haven't I? That
Oh,
doesn't say much for me then.
work harder. Okay.
Yeah, I know. They reckon a really good session is when you bring grief before they
Oh,
have the breakthrough.
okay. All right. Well, there you go. So
Yes.
I have put in the title. I have no idea what's going to happen in the show today, and I don't.
Well, there's the proof of the pudding.
Absolutely. I have, though. I did listen to your advice from last week. You
Yep.
made references to Back to the Future. So I now have the Back to the Future car there on the desk
Look at
and
that.
also the T-shirt as well. Okay. We've got the
Ooh.
whole package going on there. So I'm ready. Are we going back to the future today once again?
I believe that it is a nice day to start again.
Okay. Love it. Love it. All right. So where are we heading in your little magical genius world?
Well, to give a little bit of a summary about what we have talked about,
Mhm.
let me tell you something I know nothing about so we can talk about something that I
Okay.
know nothing about either. Do you know that
Great
joke,
start.
gentlemen and ladies and bald-headed babies, I come before you to stand behind you to tell you something I know nothing about?
I have never heard that before. Where have I been hiding? There you go.
You're probably too young, Aaron.
Look, I'm too young for absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm too young for the noises that my body makes as I get up out of a chair. Okay, I'm not happy with the fact that I have
TMI.
complete soundtrack as I get up these days. It's terrible. All right, okay.
Oh, I'm sure everybody wanted to hear that.
Yes.
No, so what we can talk about today, because we started off a couple of weeks ago talking about anchoring.
Yes.
And, harnessing feel-good feelings,
Mhm.
and then how to turn bad feelings into good feelings. So if someone's in a really bad state,
Okay.
how do you get them into a good state?
Oh, don't you just say, don't you say things like just be happy? Oh, don't you love that one? Oh, just be
it's
happy.
terrible. It's
Oh,
terrible.
tell you right
It's
now.
like, oh, get over it. Come on,
two of
get
my
with
favorite
it.
statements. Oh, I had a particular person in my life who could have been just a little bit negative. You never know, right? Use those two statements all the time, right? It was just crazy.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, like, okay, people want to be happy. Well, I think so anyway. I certainly want to be happy. So surround yourself with great people and it tends to happen. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. But did you know that you'll lose people immediately? You'll lose influence with them if you tell them to get over it.
So true.
Or if you say, come on, you can do better than that. Sometimes you've got to kick people up the butt. But in neuro-linguistic programming, unless you get down on the same level with them, and, there's no point acting like a playful puppy dog if the other person is really down in the dumps, because they're just going to move away from you.
It's a really good point, actually. Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you sort of get down on their level and say, this must be really hard for you, and I understand this is what's going on for you, and you actually state the 3 truisms, which I'm absolutely sure Donald Trump would use,
right?
Which is 3 truisms. Number 1, I was late today. Number 2, we're sitting in Edge Radio Studio.
Yes.
Number 3, Aaron, you're wearing a hat and I'm wondering what tricks you've got under the hat today. This is going to be a great session.
Look at you go. 3 for 3. Okay. And somehow work Donald Trump into that. I don't know how, but there you go.
But do you see what I just did though?
Yeah, I do. I do.
And you probably believed it.
Well, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you were convincing. I'll tell you right
That's
now.
how you convince people.
Okay.
But if you say something not true, you lose that person straight away.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're standing up in a law of court and you present 3 facts.
Sure.
And they are absolute hard, cold facts that is very obvious. And then you come forward with your punchline, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's believable.
Oh, look, I would have believed everything you said if you hadn't said in a law court.
I
Because
know, but
let's
I
be honest,
deliberately did that.
yeah. I mean, in a law court, look, facts don't matter in a law court. You could say three, you could say 3,000 facts in a row. It doesn't matter. It's narrative driven and it's financially
But what if
driven.
it was you, though? What if you were the one standing there giving the facts?
Well, I have been in a law court. I could be so careful about what I say right now, but okay, I've been in the court and I have said absolute categoric facts, provable, whatever facts, there and there, right out there. And it means nothing in that environment. So, yeah, I understand where you're
But were
going.
they objective, though?
Yeah.
Like, were they
Yeah.
objective
Yeah.
facts? You see, if you make facts about, for example, the room, the courtroom,
Mm.
so that there's no argument, it's not like this person versing that person. It's, you're stating things about the courtroom. You're stating things about what the judge just said.
Mm.
You're stating things about, what the case is about, as long as it's a fact, and then you lead.
I think that works in the real world. But I just absolutely don't believe that the courtroom is the real world.
I look, I have absolutely no argument about that.
Yeah, and this goes from anyone's point of view, whatever court you happen to be in. Okay, we grow up and we believe that the world is, when you go to court, it's a justice. It's justice. Well, no. It's actually two words. It's just us, and we're not one of them. Right? It's
just us.
It's a very different environment. So in everyday life, I thoroughly agree with you as far as speaking facts and reinforcing that with people, and that's a great way of building trust. I just take your example and I don't run with it. I don't run with it.
Well, that's okay. This is one of the things that they teach us to do this for is, let's just say, in a therapy session, and you've got someone who wants to break a pattern or they need to get out of a certain situation. And you're saying to them, well, as you're sitting here now and as you're listening and you can hear my voice, and as one leg is nicely placed over the other, isn't it great to know you are going to become the best version of you?
Yeah, because you've just built little steps. Okay, you've built a foundation so that you've used facts. You've been exactly that. You've built a foundation of facts. So therefore, the comment at the end has extra gravity.
Yeah. And you know why? Do you know why it works?
It's a trick.
Because it is a trick. It is a trick, but it is a trick of the subconscious mind.
Okay.
Because what happens, if it is a fact and you can't get out of it, and it's absolutely 100%, the subconscious, not the logic, the subconscious goes, yes, yes, yes. And the more yeses that you can get the subconscious mind to make, then the leading phrase of, you're going to be an absolute champion, you're going to win this.
You've built that foundation of positivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was one of the first things that I learned.
Right.
And the other one was how to pace and lead someone.
All right. Well, you've been leading me on a chain here. Come on. I see what's going on. Never. Down the garden path. No, but look, language is incredibly important. It really, really is. And not just the words, the tone, the way you're moving your hands, all of that sort of thing. This is all language. And you can build people up. You can tear people down with the use of the same words used in a different way can make a big difference. So
Absolutely.
I can see the power of using those techniques to reinforce things. I can definitely see the power of that.
Yeah. And really, it's really about just getting that rapport. That's what they call it. It's building that really strong rapport, and the rapport of trust and the rapport of truth. So when, for example, someone's on a rant, have you ever heard someone go on a rant?
Oh, done it myself.
We all do it.
I'm quite a ranter. Yeah.
So, for example, if someone's on a rant, and you obviously want to break them free of that rant, you don't want them to keep going, because where are they going to end up, especially if they're really angry or they're going down the rabbit hole, right?
Okay.
So what do?
Tell me.
You repeat what they say. You repeat back to what they say. But here's the strange part.
Right.
When you actually repeat back, you don't have to say it word for word, but you repeat it back. They forgot they even said that.
Really?
It's true.
Really?
You keep doing it enough, they're going to go, wow, how did you know that about me? Wow, you
Because
really,
I
you know?
think it's interesting because when you're in a rant, okay, as I say, look, hand in the air. Oh, guilty as charged. I get on rant sometimes, and when I do, it sometimes just becomes the momentum of the rant, and you not almost forget what you're upset about, but at the same time, you're lost in that momentum, and you'd actually like to get the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody can say something in a positive manner to pull that back, well, that's a great thing.
So it's called pacing and leading.
Okay.
So you're building rapport. So one of the things is you've got your one leg over the other, right?
Yeah.
I've got one leg over the other, even though it's not exactly the same way as you. Your arms and my arms right now are very similar.
You're mirroring me.
But I wasn't deliberately doing it. It was just happening. I think it becomes a bit of a habit. So
it does.
Yeah. So it is true though. That's exactly the right phrase. It's mirroring, but not sarcastically where it's exact.
Yeah.
And so just kind of like, sitting there and doing the dance of life.
Okay.
Like, I remember I used to run these classes every Tuesday night. And this was at the clinic when Ian and I were running a clinic. And, somebody called it like a backstreet casino, because Tuesday nights we would have all these people in the community rolling in, because I was only charging $15 a head.
Okay.
And so people would be coming in from all lining up, queuing up, and reception would be literally packed out. And I was in a really bad way this particular night. But anyways, I was having to take this class. I was in a bad way. And one of my students, who was absolutely incredible, he was a personal trainer. He's only a young bloke, but he'd become an absolute expert in neuro-linguistic programming.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And anyway, I sat with him and we're both sitting on a stool together. And anyway, I started.
One stool, gee, that's
I know
comfy.
He had his and I had mine, so we were side by side.
Yeah, not sharing cheek by cheek.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And we're sort of talking the way you and I are talking now, right? And the class was watching, and I didn't even know, because he was so good at what he was doing. It became an absolute art for him. And in about 5 minutes, I thought, I feel different.
Really?
I feel better.
Okay.
And then I thought, you dirty old stop out. He's NLP'd me, right? And what he'd done is he paced and led me with my breathing.
Really?
I am not joking.
That's some skill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would breathe and he would breathe and I would breathe and he would breathe. And then after a while, we went into synchrony. And then he was pacing me with my breath. So sometimes you pace people with your words, but when you repeat it back, and as I said to you before, and then you lead them, so you take them from that rant. Chances are, if they're in a really good rant, though, that won't bring them
do
off.
the trick?
No,
Okay.
it won't.
Okay.
Not the first time.
Right.
So you've got to do it about 3 times and keep on talking to them and repeating back what they say. Oh, so you said that you were unfairly treated in court. Or you say that this, and then it's like, they heard me. And then you go off on another story. Well, what about if you could win the next case? What if it all went different and in your direction next time? Now, what happens is it causes them to go inside.
Right.
And as they go inside, and how do you know if they go inside, by the way? Do you want to know how?
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, who wants to know how? Okay, so what happens is when they go inward, you'll see their eyes. And their eyes start to move. So if they're just staring straight, they're going to go back into the rant.
Okay. Well, yeah, because when people rant, they tend to be quite kind of focused on a point, really.
Locked in.
Yeah.
They get really locked in. But when a person is internalizing and thinking about what you just said, their eyes will move in a specific direction.
Now, I'm curious on this one, because the old it's if they look up and to the right, they're looking for a bit of a fib, right? From memory. If memory serves you correctly, they're going into the creative part there, right?
They are.
They are.
That's correct.
So, okay, where do they look in this case?
Well, even if they are going up to the right in the creative, because remember, we're not coming from the detective place.
Okay.
So we don't look at it that way. We'll look at it more as they're thinking about that, or they're making that a reality in the eye of their mind, like they're creating it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
imagine if I could win the next case.
Yeah.
You know, what would that look like? And if their eyes are going upwards, you know that they're visualizing it. But not everyone's visual, Aaron.
Mena, we're all blokes. We're all very, very visual.
Okay, but then you get
that's why Mills and
audible.
Boons are written for women. Okay.
I see. Is that what it's all about?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Look, I'm just joking around, but no, it's true. We're different. Okay. And yeah, you're absolutely right.
Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, and the rest of them are from another planet further out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah, when their eyes are moving away, they're going into thought.
Okay. All right. So what if their eyes are sort of darting left, right, and center? What do you do? What's that all about?
They're overwhelmed.
Interesting.
There's a lot going on in their head.
All right.
So it means that they might have a few thoughts happening, which I know my eyes are probably darting around a lot today.
No, well, you've got a lot to go.
But I've got a lot to contend with at the moment, I will say that.
Right.
But that's how you can tell. So their eyes going upward, it's visual. Going downwards, they're going into their feelings like, I wonder how that would feel. And if their eyes are moving from side to side, they're kind of creating it as a sound, like what?
Really?
Yeah. And that's how you know how people function.
So that gives you an idea into the little psyche, if you like, of how they process.
Yeah. So, you know, if you were teaching your kids, you know, by utilizing their language.
Yep.
So if they look up a lot, you know that child is visual.
Okay.
But if they look down a lot, you know that they're kinesthetic. So they're better off to do hands-on stuff.
Okay.
And if they're sort of looking side to side, then it's better to talk to them.
Now, I find that really interesting because if children are looking down, they're normally, well, my take is they're nervous or there's concern.
Well, yes, that can be. And that's a feeling, right? Nerves is a feeling.
Sure.
So if they are looking down,
Yep.
for sure, they're in their feelings, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Okay.
It can be a really great feeling. They could be remembering like this amazing experience they had, you know, on a roller coaster ride or, you know, going back into it. And you'll see how they do it. Usually when a person's trying to visualize the memory of, say, a fast car, you'll find them, if they're going back into the memory, they'll even might turn their head.
Is that really?
It's like, oh, you know, they're trying to capture the memory, but that's because they're bringing the memory back.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like, are they looking sideways because it's zoom? I don't know. Come on.
Well, that might have something to do with it, but I think unlikely. So really, I guess getting back to the topic of discussion here is when you're talking to someone, you're pacing and leading them and you're getting them out of that rant. I guess it's always good to take them to a good place.
I would think so.
And then how do you anchor them?
Well,
so if you become a really good, you know, steward of this stuff, you can start talking to them about the things that they need to hear about or the things that light them up.
All right.
Or the things that make them feel great.
And that will take them out of the funk of the negativity.
Not necessarily straight away.
Okay.
You've got to work on it a little bit.
Well, to be frank, if it was too quick, right? If you went there too quickly, I would think, has this got the legs? Right?
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I would think, you know, some baby steps are needed here.
Yeah. And the baby steps are definitely the rapport talking.
Yeah.
So, you know, well, what's happening? Like, okay, getting them away from the rant and, you know, that must have been really hard for you, really empathizing with them. And then kind of asking them a question because that's always a great way to divert them.
Okay. What if you're dealing with a bit of a drip like me? So what I do is I overshare, right? And I build rapport with people way too quickly, right? So I could meet someone. I can do a Forrest Gump. I can be there on the bus stop and start a conversation with somebody. And I don't like, because I want
talent.
Is it? Well, see, to me, from that point of view, I want to have real conversations. I don't want to talk about the
Mm.
weather. I've got no interest in, that kind of thing. I want to know what makes people tick. What makes you smile? What are you thinking about? And then in the wonderful moments of your life, what are you thinking about in the darkest moments of your life,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So, but I will start a conversation with complete strangers.
Yep.
Like a little side note on that. Good old Hawaiian t-shirts. Best way in the world. You walk into a service station, it starts a conversation. You talk to the person behind the counter. Now,
Very impressive.
it's a
I
really
like that shirt, by the
yeah,
way.
it's a winner. I like this one. But where I'm going on this is like, okay, it makes me happy to
Yeah.
walk into, say, a service station and
Yes.
someone who's having a rough day
Yep.
or just a day of, boom, 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 it's on autopilot,
Yeah.
the kind of life. I like the fact that when I've walked out, they've got a smile on their face and I brought a little happiness. I may have been 30 seconds of happiness, but I've done that and I've instigated that with a shirt. Right? Okay. That's one of my little techniques in life, right? That's how I like to live my life. Now, what I'm getting at is you said about building the rapport.
Mm.
Well, sometimes I'm poor at that because I don't bother building the rapport. I just kind of take it on kind of face value when I meet people that they're going to be cool. And I
Sure,
kind of
sure. But
go
what if that is
open-minded.
rapport, though, Aaron?
Is it?
That's the thing, because you're using your clothing, you're
Mm.
wanting them to be happy, you're wanting to impart that.
Yeah.
That's huge rapport.
Oh, look, I don't know. Yeah.
Because we're talking about people in the public here, aren't we?
Mm.
We're not talking about a friendship where someone's sitting down and they're really down in the doldrums.
Yep.
I'm talking about someone who's with you that's close
Oh,
enough.
no, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
So if you go into a service station and you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt,
Yep.
and you're saying that you know how you said you're a drip earlier on in the conversation? Well, a real NLP statement to that would have been, a drip? You mean you drip like a tap? This is another point, making everything literal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
With a little bit of humor, because that has got a little bit of
life
humor.
needs a bit of humor,
Absolutely.
right? And self-denigrate a little bit occasionally. It's good for the soul.
It is.
Yeah.
I believe that. And look, I had people that I was training around me, and they became so immersed in NLP
Right.
and in having a good mindset that they would not tolerate it if I was having a bad day. I was their teacher. You can't have a bad day.
That's right.
And I used to say to them, let me roll around in the mud. I'm allowed to roll around in the mud for a while. Okay?
That's a really interesting way
because
of
it's
thinking about
it. Because it's not unhealthy to feel your feels.
It's not unhealthy. It's healthy. You know what? Anger, sadness, all these things are negative, granted, but you have to have them. Without them, you are not a rounded human being. You're not living a proper life experience. If you walk around blissfully happy all the time, right? First thing I'm going to ask is, what are you on, and can I get some? No.
True.
But it's not a real life, okay?
Yeah,
You're not growing as a person. You're not finding out about what makes you tick. I have known people that live like this, and actually what I found is later in life they become quite unhappy. Right? Or that's been my experience.
Because they've acted like they were happy?
Because they have just put so much effort into basically putting on that happy persona all the way through, that behind the scenes that they haven't been that.
And one day they just explode. I've actually heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know two people have done that. And and they're not particularly old. I mean, I'm talking about both these people have been in their 40s now.
Right.
So, still a long way to go. And I kind of feel sad for them because they tried to run the life of ignorance is bliss for so long.
Not. Ignorance is definitely not bliss. So they fake it and then they explode because they've been not facing up to their truth.
Yeah. And then they also realize that the other thing with one particular person in this case is they realize that they've just been living life in this unbelievably safe way, and therefore they've had no experiences. So when they now have conversations with people, and now we're getting into ages where people want to have more meaningful conversations, right?
Yeah.
And not as superficial, they've got nothing to offer.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, the closer you are to a person,
Mm.
the more you know them.
Of course.
And of course,
Absolutely.
they're the ones you love the most.
Yeah.
So when people are real, you're getting to know them more
Mm.
and they're being authentic. So therefore, they're more liked. Like even in the coaching space, we say, don't try to be perfect. I mean, don't hang your dirty
No.
laundry out right there on the time,
Sure.
but kind of like go through what you're going through.
Mhm.
And then on the other side of it, like I'll share my little drama on another show,
Oh,
perhaps in
okay.
a couple of weeks.
Right.
But right now, when you're immersed in the actual situation,
Mhm.
you've got to deal with it first. I mean, with the support
Mhm.
system, with all your friends, and then on the other side,
Yep.
you can share it.
That is really good advice. Because I've been in situations, I've been immersed in something which is, it's dragging you down, and what it
Mm,
tends to do is then you kind of like, okay, and I'm not saying internalize it and not talk to people, but if you overshare,
yep.
then you kind of bring everybody else down. It's kind of
Mm,
and it keeps you in it,
yeah.
right? It keeps you in it.
Yes. Yes.
Whereas, if you went and just did something positive instead, you sort of broke away from it, you changed the language involved in the whole situation.
Mm,
You got away from, we often say, how about we want to go on holidays because I want to get away from it all,
yeah.
right?
But you're taking yourself with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Life's
What can
complicated.
what can you say though? But that's so so true. So what do you do? I mean, in a situation like this, I mean, you had a situation a few weeks ago. I won't share it unless you want to share it. But you had a really tough situation happen, and I think a lot of people also felt affected by it. But then on the other side of it, I have seen so much growth in you.
Oh, thank you. I think I
And
look.
so much has happened on the other side of it. So the greatness side.
Look. I live a particular life where I've got people who wish to do me harm. Okay, and they do it on a regular basis.
Wow.
Um,
And you're not even Donald Trump.
yeah, I know. Yeah, and it blows my mind because I try to live my life in a positive way. I try to live my life and actually share happiness and smiles, right?
Mm,
Okay, the service station thing I just said, that is a little micro way that I can go out into the world, a very small way that I can try and make people happy, right?
yep,
Okay,
yep.
okay, and I think I just like that as a way to live. Okay, so for somebody who does want to live my life that way, and I do want to share things, and I want them to grow things with other people, and I want to bring positivity to the world, it's actually a very, very sad thing of Australian culture, particularly of the tall poppy situation, where the
Mm,
syndrome is strong. Trust me, and people
yes.
will try and damage you and destroy you, and that. Now, I'm very lucky in as much as, quite frankly, I've been at this a while, a long time now, and I've
Yep,
now learnt that the people who try and tear you down, okay, it's got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with them. It is
absolutely.
their failings. It is where they are weak. It is their insecurities, and they are
Mm,
acting on that. They are just projecting it onto you, and they feel that if they tear you down, they build themselves up. Nothing could be further from the truth, right? You know how you succeed in life if you build other people up. So
that's right.
when we have
Yes.
situations like we've had over the last couple of weeks, to be frank, I'm just not that phased. In fact, I don't like people go, "Oh, you must be laughing at them because you know how they failed." No, I'm not. I'm not laughing at all. I'm actually I just genuinely kind of feel sorry for them because if
That's
you
great.
well if your life is so lacking, right,
Mm,
that you have to feel that you have to attack and attack and attack and attack, how crap
mm.
must their life be?
Well, that's right. Hurting people hurt people.
Oh, spot on. Damn straight. So no. Water off duck's back. And I'm sure, look, and I live in this situation where I absolutely, in fact, I've been already warned there's another
Mm.
attack coming. Yep,
Ooh,
yep. So these same people have putting something together right now as we speak.
they're spending a lot of time on
Oh
you,
my
Aaron.
word.
Wow.
It's just how about www.getagoddamnlife.com.au,
I
right?
love
Oh
that.
my God. Like seriously, if trying to mess with and the thing that really I was gonna say upsets me, so not the right word. It kind of perturbs me is that okay, no worries, come after me, okay? Because I don't care. Skin's very thick, kind of very used to this game. Right. But when you're hurting people around me and people who are maybe new to
Mm,
the public sector or almost public world, I guess, not sector as such, um, when you're hurting people who are just trying to do a positive thing and hurting the people around them, what's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with you?
Absolutely.
That's what upsets me. I don't
Yeah.
care about myself. I've got absolutely I just don't care. I just
Yeah.
simply don't care.
Yep.
But I do care about the people that I love, and I care about who uh, I'm surrounded by and who support me. And when they start attacking them and damaging them, then the other part of you comes out going, well, maybe we need some consequences.
That's the line in the
There's
sand.
the line. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's what you stand for.
Oh, no doubt.
And you know how we were talking last week about why, and you were saying you got to know your why and everything. And what I just heard is that you love making people happy.
Bloody oath.
And
Absolutely.
this is a big part of, what you're doing here. And my question to you on that is, because Dean Grazios and Anthony Robbins, they developed this little routine called 7 Levels Deep.
Right.
Ever heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Okay.
I don't remember it, but
do you
I
know
have
how
heard
it goes?
No.
So what happens is you ask someone, what is it that you truly, truly, truly want, right? And once they say it, and it's not that easy.
No, it's not.
Even for people, you found that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even for very empowered coaches who have done lots and lots of personal development, it's very difficult to get it out exactly what it is.
Well, so many people will go straight to the materialistic, right? So and that's a bit sad. Because when you really, end of the day, okay, no matter what age you get to, you know what they're going to do? They're going to dig a hole and they're going to throw you in it. All right?
Yep.
You can't take that stuff with you.
Exactly.
You're going to be thinking about, I love this saying. Even though it's a bad negative thing, but it's a very positive flip on it. There's no one who ever said on their deathbed that they wish they'd spent more time in the office.
I've heard that one.
Okay. You want to spend the time with the people you love, the people that you appreciate, the people that, there's a two-way traffic when it comes to emotion and connection, right? That's what it's about. Life is about connection, right? It's not about shiny things, right? I don't mind the shiny things. Throw some more my way. Come on, world. But it's not, end of the day, they'll dig a hole, they'll throw me in, and the shiny stuff won't go in there with me.
That is so true. And, and that's even applies to if someone asks that same question you just said, what do you wish you had more of, or what do you think you'd love to do? They always say going out into your oldest version of you and say the 93-year-old Aaron.
Okay.
Say that you turn out to be a Warren Buffett. I think he's about 92, 93.
Yeah, okay.
And still got all his faculties.
Yes.
And then you go out and you talk to the 92, 93-year-old Aaron and you say, Aaron, what would you love to tell the Aaron of the 50-something-year-old? What would you say to him? Because perhaps the wisdom of your quantum leaping out into your oldest age possible gives you a strange wisdom.
It does. Look, I would say, hey, Aaron, listen to more Bob Marley lyrics because every little thing is going to be all right. Right? Like, honestly, that was the worst Jamaican accent ever. But honestly, have faith. I think that would be my biggest thing. Have faith that things will turn out.
Like George Michael?
Yes, absolutely.
You gotta have faith.
I always laugh about George Michael because of the fact that as a teenage boy, myself and my mates, we tried so hard to look like George Michael.
Are you kidding me? I'm trying to visualize.
Oh, man. And I had a mate who, he's just so good looking. That annoying Sean, you're out there. And I bet you.
Not a himbo, just a good looking guy.
Just a great looking guy, intelligent as well. Not a himbo, no, top fella. But looked a lot like George Michael in his heyday.
Wow.
And look, if only you've used those powers for good instead of evil, Well,
this is it, isn't it?
But my point being is that it's kind of funny that, the reason we wanted to look like George Michael is so we could get all the girls. Well, I'm telling you right now, George had other ideas.
Oh, well, we found that one out.
We found that out later on,
very, very
which is a nice little sting in the tail. And good on him, that's what made him happy.
They reckon girls get dressed up for girls.
They do.
Not for guys.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I say this all the time, and people look at me, oh, you're misogynist. No, women dress for women. Women do not dress for men, and also women's body ideals are for other women. They're not for what men want. Men want all sorts of things.
Because men are probably the least judgmental.
Oh, man, absolutely.
When it comes to women's bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Quite frankly, we are just that excited we get to play with them. Okay,
that's too much information.
Too much. Well,
this is going to become an R-rated.
But honestly, there is it is such a true thing. Women dress for women.
Yeah.
Women spend so much time on outfits and makeup and this, all that, yada yada yada. And like, if it makes them happy, then be happy. Like I have no issue with that. But for myself, no, I don't. I just don't prescribe to that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am a superficial person. I'm not.
You reckon you're a superficial? You're having this conversation with me right now.
Yeah.
You allow me to sit on this couch every Wednesday, and you're saying you're a superficial person?
To a degree, absolutely. I'm real with myself. Like, okay, this is something people wouldn't want to admit, but okay, like I wouldn't date someone I wasn't attracted to.
Fair enough. What's wrong with that? That's not superficial.
Well, it is superficial because I'm basing my decisions on how someone looks.
But have you ever heard that only a face that a mother could love?
Yes.
I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, yeah. But I also have discovered that, very much so that, and I'll be very careful about the way I say this, not because I'm careful with my words as far as I'm not censoring myself. I just don't want to be. No, just trying to be a negative Nancy, but I have experienced the fact that I've had people in my life who weren't exactly what I would be attracted to. We'll call it that way.
But were you with them?
With them, yeah. And
you
then
were with them.
Yes, and then
you were with them, but you weren't attracted to them.
Well, not like massively attracted to them, right? Okay.
Well, why were you with them?
Because I thought I was a better person, and I thought I was evolving as a human being because I thought I was being less superficial.
So what attracted you to them in the very first place?
The lies that they told me.
Oh, so you were attracted to their lies?
I was attracted to their intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. And the stories and the person they portrayed themselves as. So that attracted me far more. And then I found out later that it was all completely untrue. So I discovered that in that case, like, beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes to the bone. Like, it goes right through.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were initially attracted because of words. See, that tells me a lot, Aaron. That tells me that even though you say you're visual, you're also very audible. And I mean, because you're a radio man, it makes sense that you would be audio. It does make sense.
Oh, yeah. If I meet a girl and she's got a sexy voice, hello, I am 3/4 way there already.
Well, there you are.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
Yep. Yeah. So with this, this love interest, I'm sort of really interested in, how you became attracted. You were attracted to the lies. Yeah. And yet what were the lies that attracted you? Was it that they were feeding you in the way you felt? Was it, a similarity, like they made you feel like they were the same as you?
No. So this particular person fed me a story of what I believe they thought I wanted to hear, and they were right. Like they.
What did they think you wanted to hear? I have to ask that.
Oh.
Even if it's not content, like things like what tickled your fancy that they felt that you wanted to hear? Was it compliments, for example?
No,
was it I love
hate
yous?
compliments.
Do you hate them? Yeah, a lot of people do feel very uncomfortable. Was it I love yous? Was it
no.
You're amazing.
No. Just a person who really understands the male ego and the psyche of a man, particularly very good at controlling a manly man.
Wow. So this person's quite psychological.
Quite a sociopath. Yeah.
Wow. Or narcissistic?
No, both. You can have one without the other. But
so tell me what the difference, like if you were saying sociopath, narcissistic. Yeah.
So well, sociopath. Okay, and the game play between a sociopath and a psychopath is pretty well the discussion of one is made and one is born, right? So a psychopath is born, Okay, so they are a
Got it.
psychopath from birth. Okay, a sociopath develops over time. So
Right.
they could be someone who's just got kind of a narcissistic personality or
Yep.
something on the borderline personality disorder,
Yep.
right? But then something will trigger it and they'll push them into being a sociopath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So these people are not born that way.
that's
They
the theory.
become that way.
That's the theory.
So they must have become that way because of childhood
Spot on.
experiences.
Yeah, generally it's
Yeah.
trauma in childhood that
Mm.
turns people like this. So
Yeah.
sadly, I've done a lot of research on this.
Okay. That's good.
Hmm,
That's really good.
yeah.
Know thy enemy. So, I mean, with regards to that, then was this person narcissistic
Yes.
or
Well,
sociopath?
both.
Both. Even
Both.
Steven?
No, far more sociopathic than narcissistic. Yeah. So the narcissistic element is actually really well hidden by sociopaths
Yep.
and psychopaths. So because they're very good at, and this is a narcissistic trait, they can mimic things, right? So what they do is they will look at people like you were talking about before, how
I was just
we're
thinking
sitting.
that.
Yes. So we're sitting, right?
So am I a sociopath?
No, no. Yeah, I know
Thank God
enough
for
to
that.
trust me, you're not one. So what a sociopath will literally, and a narcissist, these
Mm.
two will do the same things,
Yep.
but narcissists particularly will learn the behavior and they don't.
Mm.
Okay, so say for argument's sake,
Yeah.
okay, let's just use a stupid example. I walked out of this room and I banged my toe on there, right? On the road case there,
Ouch.
and I hurt myself, right?
Mm.
Okay. And I yelled in pain.
Mm.
Okay. Now, you as a normal human being, okay, would like, or whatever, you make
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
right. Okay.
yeah.
Whereas a narcissist, right, there'll be a tiny delay, right? Very small delay, and then they'll do it, right? Do you know why?
Oh,
It's learned
so
behavior.
it's the narcissist that stubs their toe.
No. If I did,
No,
and the
you stub
narcissist
your
is
toe.
watching. So what a
Yeah,
narcissist does
yeah.
is they watch behavior and they learn.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So they're not actually responding out of a
It's
genuine
not genuine.
care.
No,
They're
it's an
actually
act.
watching to see what happens first
Yeah.
and then doing that. That's so strange.
Yeah. And like they've become better and better as they go with it.
Mm.
So like the most defining way to really, if you like, people go, oh, narcissist, the term gets thrown around left, right, and center at the moment. Okay, it's one of the buzzwords. Okay,
Really
now
is.
because anyone who takes a selfie, which is all of us, okay, apparently we're all narcs because yes, we're all all the time, right? No, that's not narcissism. That can be lots of things. It can be,
Mhm.
self-confidence, it can be all sorts of stuff. But with narcissism, the fundamental difference when you take all the other little traits out is,
Yep.
do they experience empathy? Narcs don't experience empathy.
Serious.
So if they do show you empathy, they fake it. And there are
Oh
particular
my
things that will be
gosh.
showing up, will show that. So if you're looking, so if somebody's a bit of an egomaniac, right?
Yes.
They're an egomaniac. If they love themselves a little bit, they're a bit full of themselves. They take a few too many selfies and spend too much time in front of the mirror. That doesn't mean they're a narcissist.
That's what I thought a narcissist
Everybody
was
does.
when I first saw it. And I
Yeah.
thought, gee, I'm a big narcissist, I'm always in front of the mirror, always on my selfie, always. But then I found out, no, it can be people that much less likely than I thought.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
they gaslight.
They gaslight.
And
The fundamentals, you're
yeah.
spot on. The two fundamentals of a narcissist are they gaslight and they have no empathy. So
Did not know about
but
the
they
empathy
are the
business.
greatest mimics in the
Mm.
world, and that's why actors, why are so many actors narcs? Because it is the profession.
Right.
That is why politicians are
Yeah.
full of narcissism, right?
Yeah,
Because
that
they are
makes
the two
sense.
personas, right?
Yeah.
There's the persona, of course, that say in the case, we'll use a politician as an example here because
Yep,
we love
yep.
tearing into pollies, right? But a polly, right? Okay, it's very much like when they're campaigning.
Mm.
It's like when they're trying to date you. Okay, they're showing you all
They
the
use the
good
same
sides. Oh
tactics.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
They try to convince you. Now,
Mm.
basically, their goal is to actually get the power. They want the power, right? And they want the grandiose feelings of the power and all kind of things. So they know
Yeah.
that they have to effectively lie and paint a fake picture of who they are to achieve that goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So do you think they do it in a way that they do it to please the person they're trying to impress?
No, they do it because they're trying to control the person. There's never
Oh,
an
so there's a
intention.
difference.
Yeah, there's never an
yeah.
intention to please.
Mm.
It is all
I mean,
about
to pull
control.
them in, yeah.
Yeah.
So if they please that person, then they're going to kind of, draw them into
So
them.
they'll tell you all the things that you want to hear, right?
I
And
see.
they'll draw. And then when they get to a particular level,
Yep.
then they've got you on the leash, and then their behavior changes.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's, yeah, I wish I'd hadn't had to have done this research. I've spoken to, and this is not pie in the sky. I'm not talking about
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
YouTube videos.
Yep,
I've
yep,
extensive conversations with psychiatrists, psychologists,
yep.
counselors, all sorts of people in those fields, and to identify the differences. I've had very, very full on conversations with. I've done some work with a psychiatrist who, really specializes in this kind of
Yep,
behavior.
yep, yep.
So I'm not just throwing these terms out, and I'm not.
No, you're an experiential person.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've gone through it, so therefore you're almost like an authority on it.
Oh, look, sadly, I think you're right.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is sad, but it's true. But that's what makes people, their weakness become their strength.
Bingo. So now in my life, when I identify those personality traits, right, I very quickly establish a wall and rules. Right. Okay. So, because now
is that the wall you were talking about
no,
a
different
few
wall.
sessions ago?
I'm quite the builder.
Bob the builder, Aaron the builder,
yeah,
where you said you built up a wall and you wouldn't let your loved ones in because you'd been hurt.
Sadly, that's a different wall. All
that
jokes
is
aside.
a different.
Yeah.
So you got a few walls.
Oh,
yeah, you are the builder. Okay,
I am the great.
It.
I am the great wall.
Yes.
Okay, I'm China.
The great wall of China.
I'm Belton Road. No, it's because so now I understand and I accept that I'm going to have narcissists in my life, and sometimes sociopaths and psychopaths, because look, cutting the crap, that it works out that now in today's society about 1 in 10 people is a sociopath.
1 in 6 today. 1 in 6.
I have heard that,
and I
figure
don't
too.
know a lot about the narcissist,
right?
But I heard 1 of 6. I've come to know because everyone talks about
Sure.
it. And I'm sure everybody's got a bit of narcissism
of
in
course
them
we've all
somewhere.
got it. I've got a bit. You've got a bit. We've all got a bit.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that I don't know a lot about label things, like narcissist is a label, right?
It is, yeah.
Is because the true blue amazing version of someone who can help make a change in therapy in the NLP world,
right,
is that when they can see their soul, they can see the other person's soul. So when I used to see people in clinic, if I could not see them, if they wanted to, say, shed the kilos. Did I say this before on a podcast?
That's all right.
Where, if I saw them being as huge as they were saying, I thought, we've got no hope here.
Right.
So I would, because somehow I feel like it's almost God gives me these eyes where I can see the highest potential. So I also believe that even a sociopath or a narcissist or, a person who's been addicted to heroin for, 40 years, which I have dealt with, right, can be released from it.
Look, a narcissist can only learn to accept it and actually understand their behavior and make changes so that they can live a better life. With the 1 in 6 figure that you said before is now the current figure that they're talking about of narcissism. So we're talking about 1 sociopath per 10 people, 1 narcissist.
Wow.
Right. So, that's the current kind of stats that they're playing around with.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
So if you have 5 or 6 people in the room, at least 1 or 2 of them are suffering.
Yeah, well, sometimes
syndrome.
I think sometimes the stats are a little bit fiddled. So sometimes that narcissist rather could be the sociopath as well. Could be a 2 in 1. Okay, so in fact, that's quite often. Quite often the case, but it's becoming more prevalent in society. The fact that we've become so insular, we don't have conversations anymore. We hide in our little caves and all that kind of thing. The fact that we have to have this fake persona that we put on our phones, the Instagram, the filters, all of that.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
is building. Unfortunately, is increasing that. But so and I do feel very, very sorry for younger people now having to grow up as a brand, right? Because that is encouraging them, and it can encourage narcissism, sure, But again, like I said before, so if you're a sociopath, you
Mm.
can develop into one. That's the difference, right?
Whoa.
And that's real.
How do you develop into one?
Well,
Is it a bit stylistic, like I was saying last week? You see, that's the challenge, right? When a person's doing something over and over again, if you can break them free of a pattern,
yep,
like I was talking about Bill last week
yep,
with 2 packets of
yeah,
cigarettes, and you can release a person's trauma, like I've mentioned as well, then I believe that you can also release a person from even those ingrained elements. But that goes into the supernatural, which might be a little bit woo-woo here,
might be
but
woohoo.
it is woohoo, woo-woo, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. But, you know, it's called changing the DNA.
Okay. Well, look, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know on that one. I haven't gone far enough to understand that. I'll say this, right? Say in the case of a sociopath, okay. So
Yep.
yeah, okay, they've had some sort of trauma growing up, okay,
Yep.
which has created this.
Mm.
So what they tend to do, and I'm generalizing a little bit here because
Yep.
obviously every sociopath is unique, but what happens is that then it becomes like a drug, and they are looking
Mm.
for that fix. Now, so
Exactly.
hurting someone, for argument's sake,
Mm.
right, nullifies their pain from, say, their childhood.
Yeah.
So they find, oh, if I hurt this person, look at this. Oh, this is almost sexually exciting to them, right? And in some cases,
Yep.
it is sexually exciting to them, right?
Wow.
That's
Wow.
something actually the numbers are increasing on, which is horrendous. Well, so what happens is then that kind of dulls that pain, right?
Yep.
That,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And then they can go through a good period of life where they can manage themselves for a bit.
Mm.
But then they're going to need the fix again. It's an addiction.
Yes.
There is an addiction to creating
Yes.
pain for others because
Yeah.
it is about so ultimately it's very much about you.
Yep.
It is about the fact that if you are not willing to fix the problems in you, and we all have them, right? We've all got things.
100%.
Yep, we've all got traumas rather in our past. We've all got issues that we'd like to fix, right?
Yes. Yes.
So with all of that, some people will try and fix it by hurting others because it'll, as I say, nullify it for them,
Yeah.
and they'll chase that drug for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Others will go, you know what? I probably wasn't the best human being. I probably reacted badly. I'm gonna change that about me.
What about in a situation like this? So I'm going to challenge you. I had a client who, a really nice guy, brilliant guy. And by the way, because there's no names mentioned, it's not incriminating.
Correct.
So basically, when he came to see me, he was wanting to recover from the terrible thoughts that he was having about drowning his daughter in the bath every time she jumped in the bath. And so he would have these repetitive thoughts. And so...
Sorry, just to clarify, had his daughter passed away?
No.
Okay, so even worse.
No. So he was actually having these.
He was fantasizing about killing his own child,
but he knew he was doing it and he hated it.
So he should.
He couldn't help it. So you know what I'm saying is, whether it's alcoholism or whether it is anorexia nervosa, or whether it is narcissism or whatever it is, I have actually seen people come back from it and completely release it.
Look, I like what you're saying there, because I absolutely think that people are not a lost cause, right? I think they can be saved, and as I say, like, I can look at myself, I can look at my own behavior in the past, the mistakes I've made, and I think, okay, clean up aisle 4, right? Take some personal responsibility and get
I like
it done.
that, aisle 4.
It's always
Why aisle 4?
I don't know. It's always aisle 4. So no, and I think anybody, even people who are doing really, really destructive and horrible things, I think there's room in you, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
but the ego can't do it. See, our human logic cannot do it. Like if you go to a counselor or a psychologist, they can't do it.
No.
Only people who understand the subconscious. So anybody who can work with the superconscious or the subconscious, that can actually change the DNA, that can go back in their timeline and literally, like we were talking about last week, Back to the Future, and recreate. So, for example, I had a very close relative, very, very close in my own immediate family, And NLP saved her life from anorexia nervosa.
That's a big call. That's a very big call.
It's a huge call. And she was that far away from death. And they say that once an anorexic, always.
I have heard that.
And, one of the Carpenters, the song lady, Karen Carpenter, I think she died of anorexia. And this girl made a full recovery.
That's really cool.
This is how many years? We're talking 12 years ago now. Okay. And she is still healed.
Yeah.
She's got a couple of kids.
Good on her.
And her life is completely different and not a trace of anorexia whatsoever. But also we had to go back. We had to really look at, well, what happened? What caused her? Because it really wasn't about food. People think, they look at themselves in the mirror. Yes, they get dysmorphic and they think they're ugly and all the rest of it. That's just a manifestation.
Yeah.
But it actually comes from something a lot
Of course
deeper.
it does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you blow that out of the water and you unleash it and you unhook it and then you help them to let it go, and they've got to do it.
They've got to do it.
This is not a control thing.
No way.
A lot of people think, hypnosis and NLP is control. It is not.
Okay.
In fact,
Is it more of a steering wheel?
Look, I was saying to one of your people at your latest Edge event,
right?
What an absolute blast. People still talking about it. That because they were a little bit skeptical about hypnosis.
Okay.
And what I said to them was, I believe I don't hypnotize people. I feel I unhypnotize them.
Interesting. It's a different way of looking at it.
Well, we're all hypnotized.
Yeah. Well,
we're all, not like, honestly,
do you watch
Aaron,
7 West Media?
I mean, the way you sit, you're hypnotized to sit like that. You sat like that yesterday. Yeah. You probably sat like that last week.
Probably did.
When you get up and you walk out of the room, you'll have a certain style of walking.
Oh, these boots were made that way. Boom, boom. Hey, we're going to have to stop the show because we've run out of time.
But I was late today.
This is a very good point, but we have to think about the replay, which is happening on Sunday at what time?
3 p.m.
Oh, you had to think about that, didn't you? So, look, if you've enjoyed the show, obviously you can catch on the socials as far as the video goes, all that sort of thing. And the audio will be up, of course, on the weekend at edgeradioaustralia.com. Have a wonderful, what day is it? Look, just have a wonderful time. Full stop. Enjoy. And we'll see you next week here on Edge Radio Australia. We're in the Genius Zone here with Terri.